Before she became a full-time liar and propagandist for Donald Trump as his press secretary, Karoline Leavitt was basically nothing more than a failed Republican House candidate in the 2022 election. She lost. She lost by 8 points to a Democrat in an area where a competent candidate on the Republican side probably would have won, but she failed. And that campaign, by the way, from 3 years ago, is still hundreds of thousands of dollars in debt. And the creditors that Karoline Leavitt's failed campaign owes that hundreds of thousands of dollars to are getting pissed off because she hasn't paid them a penny in months and months and months. In fact, according to the most recent campaign finance disclosures, which she still has to do since the campaign has debts, she didn't pay a dime. She hasn't paid a dime in the last quarter. Her campaign didn't raise any money to pay off the $326,370.50 that they still owe to people. She's just said, screw it. I don't care. And here's where things take a more interesting turn. Not only does she owe all of this money, but most of the money, according to Open Secrets, or at least a lot of it, is actually not owed to vendors or pollsters or the people who worked with the campaign. No. She owes that money to the people who illegally gave money to her campaign. Because according to the reports, Karoline Leavitt's campaign back in 2022 accepted lots of contributions in excess of the legal limits. And she did file amended campaign finance disclosure forms a while ago saying that, yeah, oopsie-doo, we took in more money from these people than we were legally allowed to do. Technically, we broke the law. And I would love to pay them back, but obviously I spent the money. There is an ongoing FEC investigation that, by the way, has been going on for years now. The problem is it's actually not going on because we do not have a full body of Federal Election Commission commissioners. And without that full body, these investigations can't actually take place. And wouldn't you know it, as luck would have it for Karoline, the only person that can appoint a new commissioner is her boss. So Trump is in charge, basically, of the FEC. So either he can appoint somebody that he knows is going to clear his favorite propagandist, or he can just not appoint somebody and then the investigation never happens in the first place. Either way, Karoline Leavitt wins. But I want everybody to think about this for just a second. When a campaign owes debt, that debt cannot become the liability of the individual who ran the campaign. So this debt that the Karoline for Congress campaign has cannot legally be attached to Karoline Leavitt herself. She cannot be liable for those debts. Only the campaign can, and it's a dead entity. So there are no punishments. There is no recourse for these people that she owes 300 and some odd $1,000 to. And there's nothing that can be done about that. That's how ass backwards this system is. Why would anybody be a contractor for a campaign when they can literally just not pay you and not face any consequences? And you could sue the dead entity that has negative money, but you can't get anything out of it. So how does this system work? And let's take it one step further. As I said, Karoline Leavitt took illegal campaign contributions. Then when they said you have to repay the money, she just says, I spent it all. And then the government's like, don't worry about it. I mean, it's illegal. What you did was illegal and you're required legally to pay it back, but you don't have it. And, what are we going to do? We're powerless. We can't enforce the very laws that we have on the books. So Karoline Leavitt can just do whatever the hell she wants. Technically, any candidate, I guess, can do whatever the hell they want because nobody actually enforces election finance laws. So why even have them? For looks? For decoration? Because you're not enforcing them. In fact, one of the only entities that Karoline Leavitt did in fact pay back for giving an illegal contribution to her campaign was her mommy and daddy. Yeah. Yeah, they got their money back, while the campaign still had money to give. So mommy and daddy got their illegal campaign contribution back, but the rest of the people didn't. None of this makes any sense, does it, folks? It's supposed to not make sense, I guess. I guess that's how we write our laws these days, especially with regard to campaign financing. Yes, there are penalties written in the books. Yes, there are laws, there are standards, but at the end of the day, as Karoline Leavitt is proving to us all right now, none of that matters, and none of it will ever be enforced. If you've ever wondered how scammers get your phone number or why your inbox is flooded with spam, this is why. There are companies called data brokers that sell your data. They do it without your consent, and they make billions of dollars selling it to marketers, scammers, and even stalkers. And while they're legally required to remove your info if you ask, they make the process confusing and hard on purpose. That is why I recommend today's video sponsor, Aura, to my family and friends. They take care of the hard part, automatically removing your info from these sites and keeping it off. Aura is all-in-one digital security. You may already have a digital security tool, but not having Aura is like locking the front door but leaving the back door open. Aura gives you alerts if your personal info is found anywhere on the dark web. They have real-time fraud alerts for credit and banking, 24/7 monitoring to help keep your identity secure. They also offer a secure VPN, antivirus, password manager, and so much more. They have US-based support available around the clock if anything at all goes wrong. And if anything does happen, Aura includes $5 million in identity theft insurance protection. And they have US fraud experts ready to help 24/7. It's one app with every layer of protection. I don't want to leave myself vulnerable online, and you shouldn't either, and that's why I personally use Aura. And you can try it for yourself. Go to aura.com/Farron to try 14 days for free. That's enough time for Aura to start scrubbing your personal info off these data broker sites without you having to lift a finger.